Alright. Ready?
Yeah. I'm ready.
Yo, what is up? Welcome back to your weekly edition of No Debate with your two hosts here, Young D Fly.
Young D.
So without any further ado, let's get it going. Let's get it rolling.
Right into it. So Isaiah Thomas signed with the Nuggets on a $2 million 1 year deal. That's something. That sucks.
Yeah,
That
sucks.
You're not what you're talking about. They're gonna have to bring the Brinks trucks.
Brinks trucks.
Yeah, like,
and
I got your money right here. IT. I got it right here, but you don't got nothing.
He's hurting. He's definitely hurting.
Yeah, man. He's 32. 30 years old.
Yeah,
so
he is.
He's like running out of time.
He's out of time.
Yeah.
Because like his body will probably hold up better than others, but he's out of time. Cause
yeah, man. Because you can't pay a 5'8" point guard more than 10
He was
million.
31,
yeah.
right? That's
Unless
not
he
Brinks
really
truck
puts
money.
up fucking numbers again.
Right.
But even still, it's not
It's-
happening.
Honestly though, like I like the fit. No, I don't. You know, I take that back. I don't like the fit. I don't. That's an all offense team. Like I have no doubt they're making the playoffs, and that was before they signed him. So now that he's with them, I still have no doubts they're making the playoffs. But they're not playing no defense on the way to get there, and we know what defense does.
It wins championship.
Championship.
I don't understand what they were trying to gain from signing that. Because, like, they're too young to compete for a championship right now.
Yeah.
And he's a player that you'd want to sign if you were trying to make the run, you need your second or third star. So it makes more sense for them to just let their young players, get playoff minutes.
Right.
Like Jamal Murray and fucking Will Barton and, what's the other one? What's the other guy's name?
Jokic?
No, the other guard. They have another guard.
Jamal Murray, Gary Harris.
Gary Harris, yeah. So it makes more sense to let them get minutes and get their playoff experience. So down the road in like 3 years, when they're more developed, they're ready. But by bringing in IT, he's so ball dominant, and he's just such a high volume shooter. It just takes so much away from the rest of the team and the flow of everything. Right. So I just don't get what they were even trying to gain by signing him.
It's almost like their offseason was built on low risk, high reward maneuvers. What you saw in the draft with Porter, you're now seeing in the offseason with Isaiah Thomas. This even though I don't think it'll work, $2 million. That's nothing.
It's kind of like why not?
Right. It's why not. It's the same thing with the Warriors and Boogie. At $2 million, he could sit on the bench and burn a hole in that bench, and they're like, okay, well, we didn't lose that much because we're making the playoffs. In my opinion, anyway. I don't see what they were going for. Because like you said, it just takes minutes from young guys who need to get those, because I think they're better positioned than the Suns to be competing out of the West in the future. But if they really are key on getting them playoff experience versus just preparing them for the future, but getting them experience now, I could see the move. But still, they would play no defense because Isaiah's a liability. And they have no one there.
Defensive liability in the league.
And there's no one that, like Gary Harris is a great defensive player, but if he's guarding Isaiah Thomas's guy, Isaiah can't guard a shooting guard.
Anyone.
You know what I'm saying?
Giving up 8 inches.
Right. And they don't have a defensive specialist small forward. They got Paul Millsap, but there's a lot of good bigs in the league that Paul would have to write.
Yeah. He's not like bad. He's not like a liability.
Right.
He's not like the defensive anchor.
Sure.
Neither is Jokic.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Jokic don't play no defense. So I don't. And if he comes off the bench, maybe it's a little bit better, but because he would have to, because Jamal Murray's gonna start. So. And then he's probably less of a defensive liability because he'd have easier assignments, but still, but he's not gonna be happy coming off the bench. That's
he's not, because he wants his money, so he's gonna really be trying to show out. So I don't think he really cares about winning as much as putting up stats.
Did you say you saw Gary Harris ranked as a small forward, right?
That was on like Google. That's what they said.
Maybe I'm just
they have
theorizing.
Gary Harris and Will Barton as small forward, but they're 6'4" and 6'5".
They got Will Barton as small forward. Okay, then never mind.
It's just, I don't know what they're saying.
But if they do go really small and they put Isaiah in the starting lineup next to Jamal Murray, because Jamal Murray is a shooting guard who they're forcing to play point guard. Gary Harris is a shooting guard, but if they go small, put him at the small forward, and then they got Millsap and Jokic, that lineup is pretty good, especially because they won't have Porter this first year. It's not, Warriors good, but it's it'll be
in the
some damage.
West. Isaiah Thomas is gonna get hooped on every night.
But that's the thing. People always love to say that, but you don't just play the Western Conference the whole season.
Yeah, but you play them
in the
75% of the times you play.
Right, but that's not all you play. So he will still have those times
the
when he
greater
play
majority.
the Magic, and they have no point guard, and he gets to work in.
Oh no, I don't want
That's a Mavericks.
Never mind.
The Magic, you know what I'm saying? When he goes out and plays, like any, you know what I'm saying? Like the Suns, for instance, like they don't have point guards that could handle him. So he'll have those, even and the Suns are in the Western Conference. So he'll have those nights when he does some work, but it's just a head scratcher move.
I guess it's a test, it's a trial run, but I feel like they could accomplish more by just not signing him. Because even if he comes back full force, he can't be your star player to win the championship.
I miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Even if you make this shot, why? Why do you need Isaiah Thomas? I don't like him as a player to win you games and championships. He's good to bring in fans and have a show going if your team's not good. But if you're really looking towards the future and your future is championships and that's your aspirations, bringing him in, even if he puts up 35 and whatever he put up, it's wow.
See, I really liked him going to the Magic because I thought that was the biggest reward he could. Like, that's the best place he can reestablish his reputation. That's where he's going to get the best role. And it's in the Eastern Conference. So if that team probably doesn't make the playoffs, but if they do, because they have a decent young core with Isaac, Gordon, and now Bamba. And if Isaiah was there, would show up the point guard position. Defensively, no, but offensively, they don't have anything offensively, really. So that would have been great for him. And I think they would have paid him more than $2 million a year.
I think so, too.
There's got to be something with his medical reports that we're not seeing because...
Everyone just sees him as damaged goods.
Yeah, damaged goods,
They saw the huge drop-off and what he did, and while he put up 17 points, it wasn't a good 17.
But he was damaged goods when he got traded to the Cavs, and they still wanted him. Yeah, they made him take a second-round pick, but even if he wouldn't have gone to the Cavs, the Celtics could have traded him already with the torn labrum to a lot of other teams, and they would have still took him. It was his volatility in the locker room that hurt his case. It was the volatility in the Cavs locker room and the Lakers locker room that hurt his case. It is the injury, but it was something more than that. And I think that his injury, since he had to have a second surgery, and is still not playing, might have been the reason the Magic didn't sign him, because they don't have.
There's a stockpile of reasons why teams didn't sign him.
Sure,
he's small.
But I think he was worth over $2 million.
He's annoying. I think so too. I can't believe he got below the veterans minimum or something.
He got but you can't get below the veterans minimum.
Whatever. It's below something like the exception or some shit like that.
Yeah, he got below the MLE for sure.
But he should. I thought he would at least get $8 million. Because even when he was playing like Sacramento and stuff, he was getting 6, and that was way before the cap explosion.
Right.
So just $2 million, that's crazy.
So I guess moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Biggest appointments and stars of Summer League so far. There's been a few disappointments, and they're not by rookies.
I can't honestly say that the Summer League makes disappointments, losers, if you will. I can't honestly say that it makes losers or winners.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't put much stock into the Summer League, but for me, Josh Jackson was a huge disappointment. He even said himself that for second-year players, going into your second Summer League is you need to show out and show your improvement. And so far, his numbers have dropped like drastically off a cliff. Everything's fallen off by. He went from 17 points to 10. He went from 9 rebounds to 4 or 2, and then he has twice as many turnovers as assists and shooting 24%. Like, that is a disappointment. Like that, what are you doing? He was averaging what, like 20 points per game at after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And now you're playing against like just above college level players, and you're doing
above college in between D.
Yeah, you're doing this. That is a disappointment.
Right.
While I understand you could bounce back when it comes to the actual season, it's still not encouraging to see this.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree. Josh Jackson definitely did not perform up to par. I can't say I'm super disappointed in him because I honestly wasn't a huge fan of him when he got drafted. I still think he'll be a decent player, but I know primarily he is a defensive-minded player. So his offensive stats, I can't take too much into I can't take it too much into account because maybe it's the hair. Honestly,
Yeah,
it
cut off the hair and cut off his stats.
You know what I'm saying? Cut off his swag, cut off his confidence.
I don't know. It's just.
Well, who else do you have as a loser?
Dragon Bender, but
Who's your top 5?
my top 5 losers, I have 3 off the top of my head that really stick out to me. It's TJ Leaf, Dragon Bender, and then Josh Jackson.
So I agree with Bender and Jackson, but why TJ Leaf?
I mean,
he was
Leaf's
high
whole
last year,
season was a disappointment, and now even in the summer league, he's not doing anything. He's 6'10", decently athletic, and he just played a whole NBA season, and he's not doing anything in the summer league.
He went to Michigan, yeah?
No, he went to UCLA.
Oh yeah, he did because LeVar was cheating on him.
Yeah.
I mean, LeVar knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Lonzo made him.
Yeah, maybe
Lonzo
he did.
made all those players.
He did, honestly. Who rounds out your top 5? Bottom 5, actually, I guess I should say.
Bottom 5. I don't know. I don't follow summer league that intensely.
Okay.
So for me, for what I would have followed, those are the 3 that stuck out to me. It's all second-year players. For rookies, I don't put much emphasis on summer league because we've seen players do amazingly in summer league, go into the league and be trash. We see people do trash in summer league and go into the league and start great. So for a rookie, it's not a good telltale of what they're gonna be. But for a second-year player, I think that it is more. It means a little bit more because you have your experience. You know what to do. You've been here and you've done this before.
Right. See, that's why I couldn't even make really a list of losers because, like I said, I don't like to classify winners and losers in summer league. But 2 people who I can distinctly say were losers couldn't even make a top 5. But 2 people were 1 Josh Jackson, like you said, and 2 Dragon Bender, like you said. Dragon Bender especially is a ginormous disappointment, man. He's going into his 4th year. He's about to end his rookie contract, still playing in the summer league. You got 4th pick in the draft. 4th pick in the draft. 4 years later, still playing in the summer league. You got people drafted late lottery last year, not playing in the summer league. You got people drafted this year, not playing in the summer league, i.e. Luka Doncic. And both foreign players, Doncic and Bender, and yet Bender's in his 4th year, and he's not only is he playing in the summer league, he's disappointing in the summer league. I don't know what he's exactly averaging, but every single time I look at the stat line, he put up like 5 points, 4 rebounds.
Yeah, it's always
and I'm sitting there like, dog, you know you're 7 foot, you can shoot, you're somewhat of an athlete, and you're 4 years in the league.
He shoots alright. He averages 4%. It's alright. He can be trusted.
Big though.
He can be trusted, but it's not.
And it's not his 4th
year.
Yeah. It's just honestly, he's looking like he's gonna be a wash out of the NBA.
Yeah.
Because I don't see why any other team would take a chance on him unless he's willing to sign for the absolute minimum. But in terms of summer league losers, I can't really say losers. I can just say people who have disappointed me, but not are per se losers. So you got Ayton. Now Ayton did play great, but he didn't solidify why he was the number 1 pick because I think he got outplayed by Wendell Carter Jr. Yeah, Wendell Carter Jr. And it's a toss up, but maybe he didn't. But he didn't establish that he was.
Yeah, he didn't show that
player.
He was the
He
no debate
put up
number
great
1 pick in the draft.
Exactly.
Yeah. But he hasn't been playing bad.
But he hasn't been playing bad.
It hasn't been like he's been putting
up
no
loser,
numbers.
but he's not a winner because he's the number 1 pick, and he should have established.
He just hasn't solidified his place.
Right.
He should have.
I got Bagley in that list as well because he came out the gates with a great starting game, and then since then kind of fell off, and he got hurt. So you know I saw a lot of flashes of some very tantalizing skills in there that could serve the Kings very well. It gave me a little bit of hope as to why they drafted him number 2. Then I got Trae Young in there who, you know, if he didn't have those outbursts towards the end of the summer league, he would have been a loser.
That would have been awful.
But even with the outbursts, he still wasn't efficient. He just started getting more buckets, but it wasn't efficient. And he did even start shooting a little bit less too, making on those later games
shooting
a little bit less, right?
Facilitating more and getting more
assists.
So he improved definitely.
Right.
But
he get 1 game, 23 and 11.
Yeah.
Best game of the summer league. So of his summer league, not overall. But then I got Henry Ellison in there. Who you could say was a loser, but he had that last game that was a big outburst, but that's one game that can't really save your entire summer league season, especially because he didn't carve out a role for himself on this Pistons upcoming roster.
No, he just kind of was there.
Right.
He'll get minutes, but he didn't carve out a role like, okay, we have to put this player in.
And he's a stand-in gunny pick as well, so I don't know why Dwayne Casey would play him, but he's a young guy and they have him for 3 years, so
might as well.
And then surprisingly was Bamba. He showed a lot of great defensive chops, and that's why they drafted him. But that was about it. Like all those training clips he showed of him doing all this work. You saw it in that first game when he made a three, he made some couple outside shots, and then he got worked by Ayton. And he had some games that were good defensively, but then he got hurt too and couldn't really show out.
Yeah. He's a very unpolished player.
Right.
They drafted him off potential for his size and his athleticism. So for him, I'm not really surprised if he doesn't show his offensive skill set. He has more than enough time to develop that.
Sure.
He has the talent and natural ability that I think he can. So it's hard for me to say that he disappointed me. I think he lived up to. He could have only exceeded my expectations. Let's put it that way.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't think he'll do anything amazing in his rookie year. Maybe not even in his sophomore season. I think he'll be good defensively for those 2 years.
Sure.
I don't think he'll have a reason to be on the court, but if he's going to be a star, it's going to be later. It's going to take time for him to develop.
My thing is, so I know he's working with Drew Hansen, and I remember when Joel Embiid was working his way back from his injury, and he started posting those workout videos with Drew, and everybody's like, "Oh, bro, this is just fake. Like he's just dunking on regular people. Like he ain't nothing." And then he came in the league and dominated, right?
Yeah.
And so then when Bamba was posting those same videos, and then when Bamba was posting videos of him playing one-on-one with Joel and Jason Tatum, I'm like, okay, maybe he got some in the tank. So on Summer League, that's not players on Tatum and Joel's level.
Yeah.
So I thought, in the league he may not be putting up buckets, but in the Summer League he could. And that first game it showed me that he could. After that he fell off until he got hurt. So and I don't know why so many players got hurt this year. I don't know if they were just being rested, if they actually really got hurt.
Probably a little both. Probably it's a small injury and they're just like, all right, we don't.
Right, it's Summer League, you don't really need to. But I just had my expectations were higher for him after those videos. If I had never seen that video straight coming from the draft, I'd be like, oh, okay, he played what I thought he would do.
Okay, I feel that. Yeah.
So who are your winners?
My two biggest winners so far are Shai
Gilgeous, baby. Clippers, baby. LAC, baby.
He's putting up 19, 4, and 2. As he was the 12th or 13th?
Well, he was the 12th. No, he's 11th, actually, because he was drafted by the Hornets and we traded up together.
Okay, yeah. So the 11th pick, and he's balling. He's doing really well. But my biggest winner is Kevin Knox.
Yeah.
He had that 29-point game, and he just passes all the checklists on the eye test.
Absolutely.
He's 6'9", long, athletic, has a feel for the offense.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I think the Knicks really got another good one.
They got another Kristaps. Every time the Knicks fans boo the player they draft, turns out to be a great player. So far.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking because it is Summer League. So we saw Lonzo dominate Summer League, and he could shoot. And then he went to the NBA, and he can no longer shoot.
That's fair.
So it's a big jump in the mental aspect of the game from Summer League to the NBA.
Sure.
So it's hard to really put a lot of weight, but if he shows out like what it's looking to be, then they got one.
My thing about especially Knox is this upcoming season with Kristaps being hurt, Knox is going to be pretty much the fulcrum of that offense. Because, you could give the ball to Tim Hardaway Jr., but if he's the main focal point of your offense, you're not going to be a good team. Now, the same could be said for Knox, and I'm not going to disagree with that. But because his age, because he doesn't even turn 19 till next school year, if you make him the fulcrum of your offense now and you get him those touches, that experience, when Kristaps comes back, you have a bona fide second option. And that's before, and he's comfortable with the ball and with NBA defenses. And that's before, if and only if Kyrie Irving and Jimmy Butler get there. Because then if they have Jimmy Butler and Kyrie Irving, Knox, Nikola and Kristaps all play different positions and could all have been, because Nikola will need, because he also was pretty good in the Summer League as well before he went out, but he was a second-year player, so I can't say he's a winner, but he was pretty good. So if he's more of a focal point, especially with Dave Fizdale, that only bodes well for the Knicks. Even if they don't win any games, they get another high draft pick, but Knox and Nikola get more comfortable. Kristaps comes back, they may get some free agents. they could have a really great 2019 free agency and a really great 2020 season.
Definitely. The Knicks are in the best position they've been in
Absolutely.
like 6 years since Carmelo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because Knox is showing this, I'm not saying he will do this in the NBA, but it shows he has that dog in him that can be your main focal point.
He wants to compete. He wants to dominate. He wants to show that he is the best.
Exactly.
He is the man.
Exactly. And so since he's already doing that, displaying that now in the league, even though it's going to be harder, you already know he can do it. So
he wants it. He has the right mental going into it. He's not scared.
Exactly.
Hopefully, but I don't think he is either. He looks, when you see him out there, he doesn't look the slightest bit frightened.
Right.
He looks like he just wants it, and he expects the best from himself.
Right. So who's the bottom 3 of your top 5 winners? Round it out.
I didn't have 5. I just had those 2. Those 2 are the 2 that really showed out to me. I guess I could put Colin Sexton up there. He showed that he could still do well. He's averaging like 18. So probably those 3 have been my 3 like favorite rookies.
Okay. Like Shea, Knox, and Colin.
But it's Summer League. So.
I would agree with Colin, but my top 5 is going so Knox, Shea, Wendell Carter Jr. He surpassed my expectations fully.
Yeah.
Bamba didn't, Carter did.
Yeah.
Especially Carter being drafted later and having been playing behind Bagley all season for his collegiate season, so I didn't get as much of an exposure to him as I would have liked. But now seeing him ball where he gets a feature role, his last game he put up 16 rebounds. I've seen games where he's put up like 4 or 5 blocks with a couple steals. He's put up a 20-point game, I think. He's honestly, he's putting up great assist numbers. He's a more athletic version of Horford, and it's lovely.
It's yeah.
And so with the Bulls, I thought they made a terrible draft on that pick. I was wrong all around in the NBA draft this season, and I thought the Bulls made a terrible pick on him because I was like, you should take Porter even if it means waiting. And they passed on him, but Wendell Carter is looking like he could be a great fit next to Markkanen.
Yeah. Because he's more defensive and athletic, and Markkanen can stretch the floor.
Exactly.
And it's
just perfect compliments. Yeah. Yin and the yang.
It's exactly what you need in your bigs. You need, if you can't get the best of both worlds like Chris Stapps, you need one that can stretch it and one that can be your lockdown defender.
So now here's the dilemma though, with Jabari Parker coming on board. Where
do you got to start Jabari?
Well, we that's in our later segment, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I also had Jaren Jackson up there. He was very mercurial. He was really inconsistent. He started off really strong with a 29-point outburst, 8 threes.
Yeah.
His last game, his finishing game, he put up 7 blocks. He almost a triple-double with blocks and rebounds and points. So he's had games where you're like, okay, this is an NBA stud. He just hasn't had it consistently, but that's fair because he's young. He's younger than you and I, and we're young guys, so he's got time.
It's just for rookies in the Summer League, I just like to show that they're capable.
Right, exactly. And all these guys have shown that they're capable.
If you come to the Summer League and you do nothing, that's when it's God. But I'm not gonna get mad at you for not dominating every game.
Sure.
As long as you have your moments and show that there was a reason why you got drafted at the position that you got drafted.
Then my last winner, so I didn't have actually Colin on mine, but I do agree with you for being winner. My last winner is Josh Hart. He finished the year really strong for the Lakers and just came out the gates in the Summer League firing. He probably should get Summer League MVP this year, in my opinion. Even though I don't think they'll win the championship for him to get it. But do you have to get it to win the championship to get Summer League MVP?
No.
Because I'm not familiar with how that works. But he just was a beast, honestly. And he needed to be because people are saying he is the 4th member of that core of the Lakers. And he only proved it in one half of the season. So this is just great to see because next season you'll be like, okay, he had a great end of the year. Obviously he was working during the summer. He probably can come out firing. I'm sure LeBron loves to see it, Magic loves to see it, all of the teammates love to see it. I even like to see it, and I'm not a Lakers fan.
And he's the prime example of why Josh Jackson is a loser or disappointment because
Josh.
They're polar opposites of the spectrum. Like that's what you need to see from your NBA players, that they come out and they hoop on all these young guys and show them, welcome to the NBA.
Right,
This is what it's like. But if you go out there and you just do what Josh Jackson did, you're a disappointment. So now it's nice to see that Josh Hart's doing that and he's solidifying himself.
Sure. It's especially with them being polar opposites too. It's crazy because one was drafted 4, one was drafted 2nd round.
Yeah.
One was a featured member of his entire team the whole season. Yeah. One was not until the entire later half of the season when they were just giving up. Josh Hart, I want to say during the season played a little bit better just because he was next to Booker and T.J. Warren.
Josh Jackson.
Josh Jackson, yes. Yeah. And so he had defensives not focusing in on him as much, as well as if he wasn't playing a contending team, that team was going for ping pong balls anyway. So it was a little bit easier for him to get some buckets on the NBA.
Yeah, roster. I feel like Josh Jackson just doesn't have the mental mind, just the mindset of a star in this league. I feel like he could be a good player, but I don't think he could ever be a star. I don't think he has that chip on the shoulder like Josh Hart, because you explained it perfectly. Yeah. Like, one was picked late and one wasn't the focal point, and I think it really lent that itself to Josh Hart that he made him want it. He made him want to show that I belong in this league. Right. But for Josh Jackson, he was picked for it, and they're just like, okay, you're going to start, and you're all this time, and you can do whatever you want because we're going to lose anyway.
Exactly.
So there's not much pressure on you, and I just feel like even before the draft, when the Celtics were interviewing him, and he just didn't seem like he really wanted it, or he just seems like he was happy with being an NBA player and making all this money.
Yeah, he
Not
did.
That he loves basketball and wants to be this championship.
That was the because he was supposed to. I digress here, but he was supposed to come to Michigan State actually, and he spurned them in favor of going to Kansas. That's where he went.
Yeah, it was
Kansas. And it's because he doesn't have that love for the game. He has that love for I don't want to play my heart out and like win and go to war with my brothers. I just want to make money, which is fair if you have the talent to do it. Do it. But teams need to be aware of that's the mentality of your player before you draft him and you feature in these focal points. Especially because they could have traded him for Kyrie. And if they had Kyrie at this point with Booker, I mean, they wouldn't have this. They wouldn't have Ayton because they wouldn't have that pick. Yeah. But still, Kyrie with Booker.
That's raw. Those are
that's
two
a raw
of the best
team.
young guards in the league.
So they would have been a little bit better, but it is what it is. And they probably still would have Mikal Bridges because they had that pick and that wasn't theirs. That second one that they used to trade for Mikal. So they would have a decent squad, but. Yeah, I think it's honestly with Josh Hart, his want for it could be indicative of his character, but it honestly could just be a bigger example of just the Lakers culture. As much as it pains me to admit this, because as an avid Laker hater, he is surrounded by young guys who the league is talking about all these young guys, but they're all close. They're homies, they're brothers, and so he's like, these are my boys, and I want to do this with my boys. He's not just in a locker room at whatever 20 years old with a bunch of 30-year-old dudes who he's like, I don't relate with y'all.
I'm gonna go fucking fishing with my
exactly,
wife.
right.
You're like, I'm gonna go to the club.
Like people always say you need to have vets so that they have leadership. And yes, you do, but I love how because the lack of vets that the Lakers had this past season, they did have some vets, but they didn't have as many vets as they had young guys. And the young guys were so featured heavily because it's the Lakers in mainstream media. It made him say, okay, I got game, but I'm gonna bring it up a notch because I want to stay with my boys. I want to go to war with my boys. I don't want to go to war with some grown ass men. I don't want to go to war with LeBron. I want to go to war with Kuzma. I want to go to war with
your friends. Lonzo. It's easier. I guess it's easier to play for your friends because you truly enjoy them as a human. So you have a better relationship.
Exactly.
So you want to see them succeed as well as you want to succeed. When you're just playing with someone you don't know, it's like, all right, whatever.
Right.
I don't give a fuck about you.
It's a Josh Jackson scenario. Even though he had a lot of young guys around him, it's still like, I don't really care. I'm just here to get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I doubt he had Josh Jackson had friends in that son's locker room.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like someone that would get along with the other people.
He does not. He does not. So if you have anything else to say.
We saw a lot of stars, but we saw a lot of potential in the Summerleague. So it's good to know that the NBA is in a good place going forward with a lot of talent coming in, and it'll be exciting.
Absolutely.
So it's just nice to see that. But moving forward to what we alluded to earlier, Jabari Parker signed with the Bulls. 2-year, what was it, $40 million?
It was.
Second-year team option?
Yeah.
He listened to what I said.
Clearly he was watching last week. He secured his bag.
It's not a bad fit either, and it's his hometown. So all the stars aligned for him. For the team, it's not a risky contract. because the second year option, if he gets hurt again or isn't playing well, they can just be like, all right, this didn't work out. And a 1 year deal is never bad.
Right.
It never really matters. And if it does work out, then that core of Levine, Jabari, Wendell Carter Jr., and Markkanen, that's nice. That's a really good young core. Maybe short of a superstar in order to compete, but it's still good. It's a good team. It's a good team. So I like the signing. I think he fits decently well, and I feel like he'll be more comfortable at home.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. I think it worked out.
I personally am a big fan of it just because, like we talked about last week, I'm really pulling for this kid. This guy actually is older than me. But I'm glad he secured his bag. And I'm glad he went home. I just don't see the fit because he's not a small forward. He can't keep up defensively at the small forward position to guard anybody else's small forward, and he can get locked up by some. I tell you right now, Jabari'S would lock him up. Yeah. So and Jabari'S is not even the best small forward wing in the league. So I don't. And Markkanen's a power forward. You know this. Markkanen is not agile or fast enough to play small forward either. And I'd much rather have Markkanen than Jabari. As much as I love Jabari, I'd much rather have Markkanen than Jabari.
Healthy Jabari.
Healthy Jabari is different. But knowing Jabari's history and knowing how Markkanen plays, especially with how that fits into the rest of the league and his age, even though they're not too far off age-wise, but still he's younger with less injury.
45% from three. Right. That's amazing.
So I would take Markkanen over him. And especially with Wendell Carter Jr. Playing the way he did in the Summer League, I can't say he doesn't deserve to start because, Robin Lopez is supposed to be their starting center.
How tall is Wendell Carter?
I think about 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah, continue.
And so, where does it fit? You can't pay this guy $20 million for possibly 2 years, $20 million annually.
6'10".
So 6'10". You can't pay him $20 million annually for 2 years to come off the bench. So they'd have to start him. And where is Markkanen fitting in all that? Because Markkanen's not coming off the bench if you want to win games. They don't have a small forward who's capable. They have small forwards. It's actually Pelicans. I don't even know who their small forward is. That's how bad that position is. And I know they have Dunn at point guard, and they have Levine, who I'm not even super elated with either. I think if they could trade Levine for a, it's going to be hard to trade him because they just signed him, so they can't. So I'm not even
time.
Yeah, I don't. And he went to Michigan State. Go Green. But I don't. I can't. That team is awkward. Very awkward. As much as I love Jabari going home and getting his bag, that team is awkward. And he won't bring in enough seats to justify $20 million to sit him on the bench.
No, see, but that's the thing why they took the risk. Because if he is healthy, he deserves to start over Lord. If he is healthy, he was a 27-4 player.
I loved him when he's healthy.
Exactly.
But I think Markkanen could put up 20 points a game too next year. Maybe more. I think he put up 21.
I don't think he can. I think he at his career max he'll be good for 18.
At his career max?
Yeah.
Oh God.
He's a shooter. He's not. He doesn't create much for himself. He's not bad. He's really good. But he's not the star player.
Didn't people say the same thing about Kristaps? Yeah, he doesn't play defense like Kristaps.
Is way more athletic.
Okay, but didn't people say the exact same thing except that Kristaps plays defense?
No, because Kristaps is so much different. Kristaps is taller. Kristaps is more athletic.
His athleticism allows him to play
stronger. He has a better handle. He can
he's developed.
More.
He didn't come into the league with a great handle, being able to take people off the dribble. That was not how Kristaps made his money.
He was better in his first year than Laurie. He's always been more athletic.
Okay, because he's 7'3".
Exactly.
And so a better athlete, which allows him to play defense better.
Exactly. But I'm not. So he's better than Laurie. Laurie's not the same player. Just because he's tall, European, big.
Laurie is getting. Is he European?
Laurie Markkanen? Yeah.
From what? Canada or something?
No, he's European.
Oh.
No, he's from fucking Croatia or some shit.
No way.
He is.
I know he went to Arizona.
He went from Arizona. Finland.
Finland?
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah. So
he's getting cut. He's not gonna have the bounce of Porzingis, but he's still. I would not give up on him and put him on the bench yet because he's a gem.
Up on him.
I'm saying even if Jabari is healthy, that's the issue. They just created a logjam.
I low-key didn't know he averaged 15.
That's what I'm saying. He averaged 15.
Like 12.
That's what I was, because I was gonna say he averaged 15, but then that's not far off from 18. But I'm thinking that's why I was thinking this year if he's either gonna match Kristaps 18 in second year or he's gonna put up 20. It just depends on the role that they give him.
I still think Jabari has a higher ceiling if he stays healthy than Lauri Markkanen.
I think if Jabari stays healthy, he has a higher floor than Lauri Markkanen, but I don't think it's a higher ceiling. Because even at this point, for him to stay healthy, history's already done. You already saw what happened to Derrick Rose after his several ACL injuries. And it was just
but if he's healthy and
Derrick Rose
that's
is
why
6'1".
It's all. You have to see what he does. You have to see what his health's like before we can really make this argument. Because I completely understand if he comes out and he's even 75% of what he was, I think that they should start Lauri. But if he comes back and he's 100% of what he is and it looks like he still has potential to grow and become a better player, I like Jabari a lot as a player.
I think if he comes out and he's 100%, they just create a very big lineup and throw him at small forward because you need to start all three of those guys, Wendell, Lauri, and Jabari. I don't care about Robin. Trade Robin if you have to get a small forward if you really need one. But I say start a logjam. But that's
Bobby
not.
Portis too.
I hate Bobby Portis. I mean, he's a great player, but I wasn't fucking with what he did.
With Nikola.
Nikola.
I fuck with Nikola.
Because I fuck with Nikola too.
Nikola's nice.
Nikola Cole, bro. Like, come on, Bobby.
Yeah, fuck with Portis.
So, I honestly, I don't like the fit.
I don't think it's the worst fit. It's definitely not the best, but I like the fit. I like that it's his home. I like that he's with other young players.
I do like that.
And I like that. I like that they're testing it on him, and that because I think he is the hometown star for that team, that it really bodes well with the fans and with him and raises his morale. And so if he comes back and he's healthy for injury, I think it was a good signing. But
we just don't like Garfax or whatever people call them, Garvin and the GMs of the Bulls. I just don't think they know what they're doing. I think they got lucky with the marketing pick. And every single thing they've done in their entire tenure has just been laughable, to be honest. I don't like that.
There's a lot of bad GMs. Which is kind of crazy. Like, how did you get this job?
Right.
Like,
yeah. Like, how did you?
I understand not being the best, but like these are stupid signings.
Right.
Like, shit. Like, what are you doing? Like who's like yes?
You're right.
That's what you need to do. This is the direction. Like.
I mean, I get it. Like, you know, history favors the bold, but some of these moves that these GMs make are just, I guess it's a topic for another day, but
it's just silly. There's a lot of dumb GMs. I think fucking Karan Butler said this like 2 days ago. There's a lot of dumb GMs.
Yeah.
Now, when I first heard it, I was like, dumb, whoa, like, chill out, but like, there's a lot
There's
of
a
dumb
lot of dumb
GMs.
Like,
Like,
a lot of dumb GMs.
yeah.
Like, and that's why the good ones get praised, but I mean, that's like, okay, I can't digress into this, but
yeah, we could really get into
right. We could really get into this, but so
yeah.
we'll save that for another day.
Anyways, we're happy for you, Jabari. Glad you got some money to secure your family for at least your generation. So you're good wealth wise. Anyways, let's move on to Jimmy Butler watch. He declined his 4-year, $111 million.
I think it was just 100 straight up. Might have been 111.
It was 111. But he did that because he can make like $80 million more next year.
Yes.
So I can't read too much into that. But what I can read into is him being fed up with Cat and that young core, and him. Nah, I can't be put any weight in. It's $80 million. I would turn down that too. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't, but that's because I'm not Jimmy Butler. I would have no confidence that I'd be able to. If somebody's gonna offer me already $100 million right now, that I could go and get 180 next year, because I'm not gonna be a player. But I get the financial aspect of it, but I don't think that was what drove it. I'm sure it played a part, but I don't think that is what drove it. I think
$80 million.
Yeah, it's $80 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not. But I'm also saying he does not like play. He wants to win. He's not 22. He doesn't have his window to win for another 10 years. So I think it is one, because he wants to leave the Timberwolves, and two, he would make more money if he signs elsewhere next year, because he'd make 140 with the Knicks next year, and he'd make 180 with the Timberwolves. So financially, yes, there is some incentive, but I think it's because he wants to go to the Knicks, or he just doesn't want to play with the Timberwolves. Yeah. Either way, he's not going to be in the Timberwolves uniform next year, and I think that's why he turned it down.
And for me, it's a big question mark on Cat. We saw what he did in the playoffs. He had like 6 and 10-point games.
Yeah,
and I get Jimmy Butler. He's an asshole. But he's still a dog.
He's a competitor.
So for him
is what
to
I'm
like,
saying.
yeah, no, definitely. So for him to call you out like that and say that like you don't have that within you, like that carries weight.
It does.
Like, that means like damn, because I thought Cat was gonna be something else, but if he doesn't have that winning championship pedigree or mentality, then it's a knock.
Right.
But he's still this all-NBA player. So
Cat is an all-NBA player, and it's too early to say if he doesn't have that within him.
Yeah,
what I see right now, whenever I look at, not even on the court, just all his like stuff that he does with his family and all of the games he plays with other NBA players, Ben Simmons, all them, and all this stuff. I look at his personality and I'm like, okay, he just seems like a big kid who's just having fun.
Yeah.
And fortunately for him, was blessed with 7 feet height and
talent.
Loved the game of basketball. I have no doubt he loved the game of basketball and just devoted himself and realized I can make a lot of money doing this, and everything worked out for him, and his family's super supportive and he's really happy. But I don't think, because with Jimmy Butler, basketball is not just something he loved. It's what saved him.
Yeah.
Cat didn't need to be saved by basketball. He just loved it, and it loved him back.
He still wants to be a surgeon after he...
Right, exactly. He didn't need it. He just loved basketball, and it loved him back. Butler needed basketball. Yeah. And so for him, his devotion is much deeper than Cat's. A lot of players who have that dog in them is because their devotion is much deeper than just, I love this game. It's this game is me. It saved me. And so that's why I think Jimmy Butler he has that same LeBron edge where he's like, well, I'm this much better than you, but it's because I'm putting in all this work. So if you realize I'm this much better than you, why don't you put in the work? And he just doesn't understand it. And that's with Cat. And I think Cat does put the work in, but Jimmy Butler doesn't understand, okay, why are you sitting here playing Fortnite till 2 a.m, we have a game tomorrow, and you know this? Like,
why aren't you studying?
Right, exactly. Like, why aren't you doing all these things when you, especially because you know you're an all-NBA talent, and you're just
not taking advantage of it.
So I think that's what it is. I don't think it's not because he doesn't have the dog, he's not going to develop it. I think it's because he's right now having fun. He's young. He does need to change his mindset if he wants to win. But he also might have just, because his Cat's smart, and he might have just realized, I ain't got no chance to win in this NBA.
I think 75% of the young players are fucking soft. Baby lotion. When I hear these interviews, they all sound so dorky and just they just seem soft. All of them seem soft, and I think it's because the way the NBA and AAU basketball has started to change the league is that the rich players have a higher chance of making it to the league than any other players. If you come from I've seen statistics. If you come from a rich 2-parent household, you have a higher statistical chance of making it to the league. And I see these interviews with these players, and they seem soft. They don't seem like they have dog. Of course, there's exceptions like Colin Sexton. You can tell he really wants it. I think Devin Booker, while he doesn't seem like hard, I can tell that he has that killer instinct and mentality. But a lot of these players, I don't see that at all.
Here's my thing. So you're already mentioning rookies, Colin Sexton, Grayson Allen. If you only want to talk about last year players, you got Donovan Mitchell. But my thing is, I didn't read that article, but I think there's other variables that need to be taken into account more than just the wealth of your family and having 2-parent household. I think the wealth leads to getting better opportunities to go to like prep schools where you're seen.
You can play with the best trainers and the best.
But how many of the top high school kids are being trained? Like, they have trainers at their school because they go to really wealthy schools that either their parents can afford or they get a scholarship to. It's not like they have trainers flying into that. Unless you're Bronny James, they don't have trainers flying into their home. Like,
you could still pick the best ones in your area. and there's still great trainers in your area.
See, I obviously don't have the statistic, but I promise you, off my best assumption, I don't believe that 90% of people who have made it to the league had trainers outside of their schools, programs, or AAU programs before they made the league.
90%?
90%. And I'm only, and the 10% I'm talking about is like people like Grant Hill, people whose dads were in the NBA or whose families were.
I don't think you realize how much work these players have to put in.
They put in a lot of work.
You can't just.
But do you know how much money it costs to have a trainer and then send your kid to a high, expensive school?
That's why when you're very rich, you have a better chance because you can do that. See, it all connects now.
Yeah, it all connects. But how many players are that rich they can afford that?
A good amount of players.
Before they make it to the league?
Decent amount, yeah.
Not more than 10%.
Probably more than 10%. 10%.
I wouldn't say that. We'll have to save it for another day because we're done.
Well, you still have a better chance if you're rich. In that, there's no debate about that.
I can't. Yes, there is.
How can you debate that you have a better chance not being rich than rich?
I'm not saying you don't have a better. I'm saying I don't think being rich gives you a distinct leg up. I think getting opportunities in life to go to schools that feature you more, that are on the radar of college programs, gives you a better outlook. Not just the fact that you are rich. You can. Of
course, there are things that are more important than being rich.
You don't have to
being
be wealthy.
7 foot is more
exactly.
important than
and you
being
could be
rich.
broke as shit at 7 feet and might still make the league.
Yes, but if you're still rich and you're 6'10", and there's this poor 6'10" kid, guess who's gonna get the better training and better development?
If that poor 6'10" kid is much better than the rich one, the poor 6'10" kid is making the league.
But let's say they're equal.
If they're equal, then yeah.
Exactly. So I'm saying you have a better chance of making the NBA.
But that's not the case.
But
that's not the case. Not every single kid who balls has a counterpart who's not as wealthy or who's much wealthier than them. That's not how life works.
I know, but I'm saying that if you're rich, you have a better chance. And you're telling me that I don't.
But I'm telling you that mostly wealthy kids don't see basketball as a savior to put that much work into it that they're going to try to make the league.
Yes.
It's kids who are middle class or poor. It's not very wealthy kids unless their parents basketball was their love too. Then they'll do it. If that's not the case,
he was a well-to-do person coming from.
He was probably upper middle class.
Yeah, and so
that's what I just middle class. I believe
you still have money. You still have more money.
That's not rich. Middle class is middle class is not rich. That is like you are very well off, but you're not rich. Like.
We're not talking about these people making millions of dollars a year. If you're making,
I'm not saying millions a year. Middle class is not even is under.
His family is more well-to-do than just getting by, or even getting by comfortably.
Okay, fine, fair, but that's one example out of what thousands upon thousands of players.
Of course, I don't have the statistics of each NBA player and what their family aspect is like. So it's how can you say that being rich does not affect a player's journey to the NBA and give them a leg up?
If the only way I can say it does affect it is if you have two equally talented players, but I've never seen two equally talented players, but one is not wealthy and one is. Like that's not how you don't just have a counterpart.
Well, if you're rich and one person is worse, but you have better training, you can get just as good, and then you can pay AAU teams or donate money to them so that you can get on the teams. And
that's the problem
many
too.
Doors.
Is that when you are rich, you also get complacent. See, when you know that you don't have money to fall back on, that's what drives you. That's what gives you that hunger.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I hate how all that fucking NBA is soft now because I miss how back in the 80s and the 90s and even the early 2000s,
but that's why all
these players came from the parks and they all came from working.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. All these soft players, like you're saying these players are soft, like they're just, you can't say that other players in the previous years of the NBA weren't because you didn't have social media that would have portrayed that. First off,
you still see interviews and you still hear all the players talk, and all the players from those ages came from a totally different type of basketball where everyone was not friends, everyone wanted to kill each other on the court, and they didn't play AAU all together. AAU started right with LeBron's generation.
Second off, I've already forgot what I was going to talk about. Honestly, fuck it. This is not what we were supposed to be talking about. I forgot what I was going to say. So, what was our?
We were talking about Jimmy Butler.
Oh yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be a bonus clip for you guys. No, I think it was a good move on Jimmy Butler's part to decline that contract.
I think so too.
I just want to see what they'll do next season.
Yeah, I don't think he ends up with Minnesota next season. I think he definitely goes to a bigger market with another with another star who he sees as an equal competitor to himself. And someone who's older, someone who's been in the league. So I think him ending up somewhere with Kyrie, it seems pretty likely. I don't know why Kyrie would leave the Celtics. To me, that doesn't make sense. But I mean, I get why, but I don't agree with why.
Okay.
That's So yeah, I think he ends up somewhere in probably the Knicks with Kyrie. Make the most sense to me out of any of teams that he could go to. Maybe LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Philly if they can afford him, because he'd be sweet there too.
He'd be cool. Yeah, he'd be cool in Philly.
Especially a shooting guard.
I think he'd want to go somewhere with a older core after playing with this young core.
That's fair, actually.
Yeah.
Celtics have a young core too, though. Oh, he's not going to Celtics. Knicks have a young core too, though.
Not if Kyrie goes. Then he has the other championship. Someone who's won a championship. It's like going to the Lakers. The Lakers have a young core, but they have LeBron. So
that's true.
Yeah, because then they would have it wouldn't just be all on him to lead the team like that. He would have another person who's won a championship, and they can definitely say, okay, we gotta do this and this and this, and this is how we win.
Right. So moving on to the topic of Kawhi watch.
Man,
it's been really silent on the Kawhi front recently.
I haven't heard anything, and that's probably because nobody wants to trade with the Spurs. The Lakers took everyone off the table. Not the Lakers. The Celtics took everyone off the table. They won't trade even Jaylen Brown for him. The Spurs...
Even Jaylen... I mean, yeah, I understand why.
Well, yeah, Jaylen Brown's the worst of the players that they were offering. Out of Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, and Kyrie.
Well, yeah,
he's the worst.
I thought they also had a sign and trade for Marcus Smart in the works too.
Yeah, but they were.
I would say Jaylen Brown better than
Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard wouldn't. They wouldn't trade Kawhi for Marcus Smart.
No,
they need
him
one
and
of those
other
other
players,
players in order to make the trade.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Jaylen Brown's worse than Marcus Smart.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that one of the A piece in the trade was going to be Gordon Hayward, Kyrie, Jason Tatum, or Jaylen Brown. And then they'd had a B piece, whether that's a couple picks, a Marcus Smart, a Terry Rozier, who are on the level below those players. And then the Sixers took off Markelle, so no team wants to trade with them. No team wants to risk it. So,
it's honestly interesting, this scenario, because he is a top 5 player when he's in the league.
yeah.
But because players never have that much leverage, and he's using it like LeBron would use the leverage if he wanted to trade as well. It's tough too, because he also doesn't want to play for the Lakers. So it's like he's like forcing the Spurs hand.
It's like,
and if he goes to my Clippers, represent LAC, baby. That's not it. How do people do that shit? They would be like that.
the fuck you trying to do that? LA?
It's LAC.
Oh, LA. Yeah.
No.
You're missing the L. Put your hand. No. You gotta do what you were doing.
Okay.
You lost it, huh?
Yeah, I did. Well, no, it was like this.
Yeah, and then the C, but you gotta put your hand up to make the L. But like you have to put it straight, so it's like that. But that's really weird. So I guess it's like.
LAC, baby!
Yeah, see, this is their franchise.
LAC, dysfunctional, baby!
In a nutshell, that is the Los Angeles Clippers.
So if they have leverage, then every team has leverage on the Spurs, including a player in Kawhi Leonard. I don't see why the Clippers would trade Tobias Harris for him if they know that he doesn't want to play for the Lakers and he wants to play in LA. And so I don't know who the Spurs could get for him.
Yeah,
it's a shame because we know superstars usually get traded for quarters on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
But he might get traded for dimes on the dollar. Like
it's changing the whole league.
It is
completely. I don't really like it, to be real. I like player empowerment. I think the players should. They're the commodity.
Right.
Take off the negative connotation of that. 'Cause that's not how I mean it. But like they are the commodity, so they're the entertainment. They're what makes it go round. So I like them having the power and everything, but I don't like them forcing the hands of these organizations because that takes away from the fans. And
it takes away from the fans, but that's also on the organizations because in the NBA, it's a dog-eat-dog world. Franchises all the time make just surprise trades and releases and all these things. For instance, the Isaiah Thomas trade last year, he was the heart and soul of that franchise. They traded him away, and if he would have left on his own, everyone would look, you came here and made yourself, and then you think you're better than us, you're gonna leave. Yeah. But because he was traded, he was like, oh, well, it was for Kyrie. Like it was for Kyrie, but Kyrie got hurt too. Like, it's because of the double standard. I can't say I dislike players being able to force the hand, because it gives them equality. I will agree that it does suck for fans.
It doesn't,
because for the Spurs fans,
it makes the players have all the power. It's not equality.
No, because in the middle of the season they could still get traded. Like,
yeah, I know, but not to certain teams, because they can just be like, if they get cut, they still make their money unless someone picks them up in the first week. So it doesn't matter if they get cut. It's not like the NFL. But if they say this, then they can't get traded. Kawhi hasn't been traded after saying, I will only play for this team.
Right.
So it doesn't make it equal. It takes all the power away from the organization, and just it's like they can quit their contract and quit working a year ahead, maybe even 2.
Well, he would still have to work if he gets traded. If he could, now I would have a problem with it if he doesn't get traded by the beginning of the season, because I have heard that they want to keep him until training camp so other teams can see that he is still the same player. But if the regular season rolls around, not preseason, but the regular season rolls around, and he's still healthy and not playing, then it's a problem. Yeah. Then I think the NBA should institute a clause where you can not pay this player if he's not playing and he's healthy.
Yeah.
Because that's just not right. What he's doing to that franchise, to the fans, to the organization. While yes, I do feel he feels that their relationship isn't broken and can't be mended, doesn't mean he can just take them of their money and the fans of their money as well.
Exactly.
Because one of the reasons our season tickets are so expensive is because he's on the team. Mm-hmm. So if he's not playing but is still on the team, that's not right to the fans.
Bullshit.
Yeah. So I do agree that in certain, I think there just needs to be some middle ground, some type of compromise. I hope it doesn't lead to a lockout, because that would just be really unfortunate. Nobody wants that. But I do like. Oh, damn it! I think my shit was full.
Yeah, mine's still going.
Yeah, it's full.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll just finish, and then that's the last topic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, I do like that it gives the players a little bit of say in what they can do, but I think that's what the offseason is for.
Yeah.
Like he's doing it in free agency, or not free agency, he's not free agent, but in offseason. But this was brewing since the whole season, and he wasn't playing because of it.
Yeah, I think if you sign the contract, you have to stay true to the contract, and you can't just in the middle of the year quit on your contract and your team, because it ruined their season. Yeah. You can't just come back this year and just go, all right, guys, let's go ball.
That's why he's not trying to come back.
Fuck you, Kawhi. Shut up. So it takes away from a year of the contract. If you want to do it behind closed doors, that's a little different. Tell the management, hey, I'm probably going to leave. I'd love it if you traded me to this team. I get it doesn't have the same power and it doesn't make them have to do that because no other team does that, knows that you want to go there. So, but I just think you should honor your contract. He signed it. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of people hate their bosses. Mm-hmm. So it sucks, but a lot of people every day go to work hating their job and hating their bosses.
Now,
so just because you're an NBA player doesn't make you any different or any more special. You're still a normal person. You just can play basketball really well.
Yeah. Here's my thing. So it's his life, and who are we to say he should have no right in choosing where he gets to live, where he gets to work? I don't think he should have had to go back behind closed doors to tell the organization. But here's what I think should be instituted. I think the NBA should institute a rule in trade negotiations that if a player is traded to a team and he's on the last year of his team, the team can opt to get an extra team option at a negotiated price between them and the player. So that way you don't have that chance of 1 year rentals or half a season rental, because it's just not, because then players because teams won't give up anything because they're like, we might get him for 1 year. But if you know you can get him for this year and you can get a team option, so if you don't want him, if it just doesn't work out, you can let him go anyway, or you can get him for 1 extra year. It's not like his whole career is going to stay there, but for 1 extra year. So it gives him a chance to really get into the organization, and it really gives everybody a chance to see how he is, build relationships. Maybe the 2 years that you'd be there, or if you get traded halfway through, the year and a half that you'd be there is enough to warrant an extension. And then teams will be willing to trade more because, I'm not having him for 1 year, I get him for 2. I'm sure the Celtics and the 76ers
only on the 1 year
now.
It's not if you sign someone for 2 years.
Right. Only for the 1 year. If you get traded for 2 years and you don't get a third year because of that. But if you have 1 year or less in your contract, then you should. I think that should be instituted because then the Celtics or the Sixers might actually trade for him.
Yeah,
because
they get 2 years.
Because our window is now. Well, not their window, but maybe a team that's really. That would
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that'd be great.
I like that idea a lot. But the only problem I had with what you said was at the beginning. You said, "Who are we to tell them how this man lives?" Like,
right.
I'm not. He signed the contract. That's his name on the contract. He decided that for the next 5 years that I'm working for this person. So if he wants to leave in the off season after he has honored his contract and fulfilled his job that he's getting paid to do, then do it. I love when players move around the league. I think it's so exciting every year when players move to different teams and everything. I think it creates so much more for basketball. It's just so exciting to see it. I get so hyped in the off season to see this next team. I can't wait for the NBA season. So it gets me. It's great for the NBA. It gets all the fans excited. But just because a lot of people, it's like they see basketball players as different than a normal job. It's still a job. If for other people, if you sign a contract, even midway, if you're like, fuck, this job sucks, you still have to do your job. You can't just be like, oh, so like, I want to go do this job instead. I'm not going to finish it. That you're breaking the contract.
You could do that. I mean, some organizations might take you to court for breaking a contract, but you can do that. Or you just quit. You just outright quit. He just can't outright quit because he gets no money if he outright quits. If he quits, he doesn't get paid.
It's still his job to
Here's my thing. My suggestion for what the league should do has nothing to do with this example I'm about to bring up. So those are two completely separate things. But here's my thing. So if I'm going to equate what you just said to real life. So divorce rates in the 50s were quite low. And that's because women weren't allowed to they weren't allowed to do that without proof of like abuse or whatever it may be. But men could at any point. So when you get married, you literally sit here and say, till death do us part. Like, we are going to be together. And yet people still get divorced. You don't sign a contract. You sign a love contract, essentially. Like, I'm going to be here for you. You're going to be here for me. We're going to hold each other down forever. Like, there's no year stipulation. There's no 5-year plan. It's forever. And people still get divorced. Now, divorce rates are rising now because women have more rights and they can institute them. And it's actually a better thing because people aren't trapped into these relationships they don't want to be in. It's the same thing with the NBA. Yes, you signed that contract at the time because you love the organization. They traded for him. They developed him. And then along the way, something happens and you're like, okay, maybe this organization was not what I thought it was and I don't want to be here anymore. You shouldn't be bound to do that. But I just hate what's happening, the fact that no other team can trade for him. But I don't think he should be bound to stay there.
I think
in this scenario, women
your analogy was awful and just not.
I
understand how you can somewhat equate it to it, but comparing a job to a marriage, it's a lot different than that because in a marriage you're not getting paid to do this. You're in it for your pure enjoyment and only enjoyment. So if you're not getting enjoyment out of it, why begin it? If you're not getting enjoyment out of your job, they're still paying you, and so. If he wants to quit basketball, that would be the equivalent to getting a divorce.
No, that'd be the equivalent to just not ever seeing anybody ever again. If he wants to go to a different team, that's just like a woman being like, okay, because just like players have now more rights, women have more rights, and
but you're not getting paid to be in a marriage. The only thing you get out of a marriage is enjoyment,
right? And that's okay.
So that's
But it's not like he's when he gets traded. It's not like he's like, oh, all of a sudden I want more money. Like
I know, but if you're not getting the enjoyment from the marriage,
he's not getting any enjoyment from the relationship with the Spurs. Go to a different organization. That's what
he's still getting $20 million a year.
But He's getting that anywhere he goes. He's getting that anywhere he goes.
But he's still signed on for that. That is his job to do. They're still paying
any
him.
other team he goes to is gonna have to pay him that exact same wage and then extend him for even more. So it's not about the money. It's about, especially because he knows he's getting that money. Even if he tore his fucking arm off, he's getting that money.
Why he wants
it's about where he wants to play.
It's not about the money, and I understand. But you signed on to this contract. You made the decision. Why you made it?
And you can change your mind.
Yeah,
humans have free will. That's what makes us human. The fact that he can choose not to play there.
I think that's.
So you're saying players shouldn't even be humans? They should be total commodities. They should be total objects, pieces. Like they shouldn't even be people anymore. We should take out their hearts and just make them robots.
No, ain't nobody said that.
So then, how come they have no right to choose where they get to live?
They do.
Where they get to love. Where
they
they
have
get
a
to
full right
people
when they are off their contract. Once their contract is fulfilled on both ends and they get their money and then they play their 5 years or whatever. You can go wherever the fuck you want and sign for however long you want, and it doesn't matter.
So why?
You can go play overseas. You can play here. You can play in Canada. You can play in Mexico. Fuck it. You can do whatever you want.
So once I get married, I'm just married forever. I just can't. I can't leave. Even if life.
If they stop fulfilling their end of the agreement, which is making you happy, and
the Spurs don't make him happy,
but they pay him, and that was their.
That
agreement.
is not the only
agreement. The agreement wasn't okay. While you're here, we'll make you happy and we'll fucking love you like your wife.
That's what they do. That's the Spurs, though. That's what they do.
So what? But then the contract, and the agreement is we'll give you so and so amount of money and you play basketball for us. That's what the contract is. It's not we're gonna make you happy and we're gonna be your best friends. No, it is a job. He gets paid to do his job.
I understand he gets paid to do his job. He can get paid anywhere to do his job. He could quit right now.
So then he shouldn't have signed with the Spurs. That sucks. You still signed and made the decision you signed the contract that you will do this job for this many years and get this amount of money.
I think the only reason why you say that is because you've never been in a position where you actually had to choose. Where you're like, oh, I did make this commitment, but this is not me. This is not something I can do. When he signed on to that contract, everything was different. The Tim Duncan was there, Tony Parker was there, Monty Jones was there. They didn't ask him to be a leader, and he is not a leader person. He's a great basketball player. He could be a leader on the court, but his contract he was supposed to play. Yeah, he's supposed to play basketball, but he was supposed to play a role. They're now changing his role, and they're not changing, and he does not feel comfortable in that role that they're changing him to. And that's perfectly fair to not want to play for a team that's not putting him in the best position for him to succeed. You are trying to make him a commodity, and he is a person.
I know he's a person. He doesn't have to do that role. He just has to play basketball. He doesn't have to lead in the locker room.
Yeah, he does.
He just has to play basketball.
Clearly, that's what they want from him because he's their best player.
That's what they want from him, but that's not what he signed on in the contract. He just signed he's going to.
And that's what they're trying to.
So as long as he goes out on the court and you can see him give it his all, then he's doing his end of the agreement.
But that's not what they're trying to do. Because he tried to play this season, and how did it go? It didn't go well.
He said he had an injury from getting a knee in the fucking thigh.
Because the organization is asking of him different than what they signed of him. Okay, so when the organization broke their end of the agreement, he can now say, I don't want to play for you anymore. This is not what I signed up for. This is not what I...
When they signed him for $18 million a year, however many years ago, that was not just to be a role player.
I didn't say he was a role player, but he wasn't meant to be the leader. Tim Duncan was leader at that time. He was meant to be a superstar player.
Tim Duncan was in his 18th year.
Yeah, but he was still the leader.
It was very obvious that while your contract goes, Tim Duncan is most likely gonna retire.
Most likely, but it didn't say that he was gonna have to be the de facto leader then. They could have brought in.
He doesn't.
Tony Parker should have been the leader. Tony Parker was a terrible leader.
You have to do it.
Tony Parker was a terrible leader, and then Pop is there now, and he knew Pop was going to stay for the rest of his contract, and Pop should have been the leader. They are asking him to fulfill something that is not in his contract, so he does not want to do it.
So he doesn't have to.
So he's leaving. Exactly. He doesn't have to. He's leaving.
But what he does have to do is play basketball. That team, he has to play basketball. He doesn't have to lead. He doesn't have to call up the homies. Hey guys, come watch film with me. All he has to do, show up to practice hard, show up to the games, play hard.
If he stays on that team, what they're asking of him is not what he signed the contract for.
So he does. Are you not hearing me?
I'm hearing what you're saying.
You can say he
doesn't have to do it, but that team falls apart otherwise.
So
they have
not his problem.
Yes, that is his problem. That's his legacy on the line.
He doesn't want to play there anyways.
It's because of that. It's his legacy
on the line. Then it's already a legacy that he doesn't want to be a leader. So either way,
you don't need to be a leader to have a legacy.
Exactly.
You gotta win, and he wants to win.
So if he plays well, you can still win.
Now the Spurs.
Yeah, the Spurs just won. They won what 48 games without him.
And got swept right there too.
So if he was there, like last year, they were challenging the Warriors. and then he got hurt. So they can win with him.
So they can no. They cannot win with Kawhi Leonard.
Nobody can. So what do you want?
So if he goes to a better team that makes an option that can, nobody can how the current NBA landscape is. He is a big enough X factor that he goes to a certain team.
I think he should leave. No one is arguing that he should not leave. No one is saying...
You are saying he should fill his contract
I'm saying he has to fulfill his contract because he made the agreement.
Leave.
See, I know you're flaky, so you're not used to...
What?
You're not used to
You're saying he should leave.
But when you make a commitment,
What?
I'm saying he should leave after his contract is up.
You just said he should... Okay.
Exactly.
You just said nobody's saying he shouldn't leave. And now
I said from the beginning he should leave after he finishes 5 years. I've always said he should leave. From the beginning of this argument, I said I love player empowerment. I love them moving around. I think it's great for them to get. So I clearly think it's good for people to get out of the situation if they don't like it. I think they have to fulfill the agreement they made before they do that.
I don't, because teams don't do it either. Teams sign you for a full 5 years, trade you 2 years later. If teams don't have to do it, players should not be held to that exact same standard.
You still get the money that is agreed that you play basketball for.
What does that have to do with anything?
That is the agreement.
Money has never been the focal point of these decisions.
You play basketball
if a team
for money. That is the agreement.
Can trade you before the end of your contract, you should be able to leave before the end of your contract. No questions asked. There should be no double standard just because you work in a front office and you actually bring seats into bring people into the seats. There should be no difference.
I mean,
because on your argument, they signed them, so they should keep them. Well, they would keep them because they're the Spurs, but the Celtics also signed Isaiah Thomas, and guess what? They traded him. He wanted to stay.
He still got his money for the year.
Kawhi will still get his money if he gets traded too, and the Spurs they save money if they trade him to a team like the Suns.
The agreement
who has
is
the cap space.
You play.
It is nothing about
the agreement
money.
Is you play for the team that you're on for this amount of money that you agreed to.
I get that, and if teams don't have to play by those rules, players shouldn't have to either.
Well, the teams still are paying them money. Either way, they're getting their money if they play basketball.
Your money argument literally makes no sense.
It is a job. Basketball is a job. That is
I get
the
that.
whole argument is.
Nobody's saying they shouldn't do the job. I'm saying he should play if he's on the team. But he has a right to leave the team before he finishes that contract. Because teams do it, players do it, he can do it.
I don't think so. I think that if he agreed to play for this, he knows the rules of the NBA. Everyone knows the rules of the NBA when you go into playing the sport. It's not this surprise that you can be traded. It's part of the business.
And it's not a rule that
not
you
everything
is
is
stay through the end of your contract.
Well, that is the whole, what a contract is. Basically, is you're agreeing to do this for this amount of time, for this amount of money.
Until you get traded or cut. Or
if you get traded or cut, you still make the money.
If you get traded, you make the money from a different organization. So the contract you sign with that organization is no longer void.
You're still making the money.
Exactly. So Kawhi is still making the money wherever he goes. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you it's not about the money. Okay? You are trying to make it all about the money, and it is not about the money. It is about the relationship with the organization. If your relationship with the organization is damaged, get out.
Yeah, I think he should leave once he fulfills his
contract.
contract.
Just like if Gilbert Arenas, he still got paid, but he got cut because his relationship with the organization was damaged.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't fulfill the end of their contract. They kept paying him, but he didn't fulfill the end of his contract. He didn't play for them, but they kept paying him.
They made the decision to cut him, so he fulfilled it as much as he was allowed to do by the organization. But they cut
Kawhi
him.
Leonard fulfilled as much as he was allowed to do 4 years until he figured it was not in his best interest, and he left.
He's still allowed to do it because they're still expecting him to suit up next season and play for the Spurs.
And I'm saying if he's on the team, he should play. I'm saying if he's on the team, he should play. Because they don't have to trade him, I'm not saying he shouldn't play. But I'm saying if they trade him, it is not his fault. Like, he is not at fault. He has every single right to want to leave. I'm not saying because he asked for a trade, should automatically be granted it. But I'm saying he has a right to say he doesn't want to play there anymore.
I don't think so. I think I think it ruins it for the fans.
That's literally the First Amendment.
It ruins it for the fans, and it ruins it for the fans mostly. Because then the fans, they go from having this star to getting, literally like you said, dimes on the dollar, and their franchise are ruined. And what
the franchise should have took better care of him then. They knew what they had in him. They had him for 6 years already, and they messed up. You cannot blame players for organizations' mishap. That's the double standard that is in this league that is just
how do we know
so
it's exactly the organization's fault with Kawhi?
Every
just by
single
asking
time,
them to,
you see so many examples of the dichotomy of if a player gets traded or if he leaves. It's praised and, oh, what? You're terrible. You're a demon. Like, why would you leave this organization? We were counting on you. It's literally like they get traded. They could still have been counting on they get traded because they broke their pinky, couldn't play in the playoffs, and they're like, okay, well, we're just gonna get another piece so we can be ready for this year's playoff. Like it's literally like there's no gray area. It's a business, and Kawhi is exemplifying that. That is a business, and he's leading.
It's not good for the fans. I don't think so. I think it's not good for the NBA. It sucks. It sucks.
I think it's I don't know if it's not good for the fans. I think it does suck for the
not good for the fans
because it's not good for the Spurs fans, but it's good for the fans of where the team he goes to. I can say it's not quite good for the league because then you will have teams like the Warriors happen when you have players with all this power. But that's everybody blames the Warriors for that. Blame other GMs. Like this is not the Warriors' fault. The league looks like this. Yes, I hate the fact that the Warriors have this team, but this is the other. Even Danny Ainge, who is so often praised, messed up. He should have got Boogie. Other GMs, they should have got Kevin Durant. Like when he was a free agent.
The Celtics
should have got Kevin Durant. Danny Ainge messed up twice that the Warriors took advantage on.
He messed up with KD.
Blame.
He met with KD and he had a good plan. He showed the whole plan for being the Warriors and everything. And then KD just chose the Warriors because he liked Steph and fucking.
Okay, whatever. You can't blame. You can't. It's because it had nothing to do with what I was gonna say. You cannot blame a player for invoking their free will. You cannot blame. A player for you can't blame LeBron for being the best player in the world. You can hate on him all you want, but you can't be like, oh, like he's terrible for it. Like he's just the best player. You can hate him all you want, but at the end of the day, he's going to be the best player. Kawhi Leonard at the end of the day is a top 5 player in the league. You can hate him all you want for the fact that he wants to leave, but the fact that he wants to leave and as a top 5 player, he knows he can leave. And he's taking advantage of that. If you were in his position, you played for the the Spurs, and all of a sudden, every single thing they did you hated. It used to be every single thing they did, you saw rose-colored lenses, and all of a sudden, every single thing they did, you hated. You'd want to leave too. And if people were sitting here ridiculing you because you're like, but this is my life decision that you know nothing about. You would be like, okay, well, you know what? I don't know why all these fans are hating on me, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Like because it's your right to do. Like, we have no right to say that he cannot do this.
Yeah, he signed the contract. That's the only thing. He didn't have to sign it. He could have signed it for 3 years, he could have signed it for 2 years, he could have signed it 1 year.
You're so caught up on the contract.
Because he made the agreement.
That's the thing about a contract, because it's two-way. It works both ways.
And are they saying they're not going to pay him?
I'm not saying they aren't. And he's not saying he's not going to play. He just says he wants to play elsewhere. He never said he's not going to play. Once he says that, then I will say it's messed up. But he has not ever said he's not going to play. He just says he wants to play elsewhere.
Yeah, but it just ruins the whole season. It's like they're not going to win.
Because the chemistry's bad, but that's not. Yeah, it's partly his fault.
He's not going to play. He didn't play all last year
because he was hurt. Now he has no excuse. So this year, if he comes back and says he's hurt again, then
he's medically cleared to play.
Okay, you say that, but his other doctors didn't say that. Did you do it? Did you do a screening on him? Did you check him out?
I know that the Spurs
did you examine him?
I don't know exactly what the other doctors said.
Did you examine him? Did you say for a fact that he was healthy?
Can you say for a fact that he's not?
I can say that he wasn't on the court. That's all I can say for a fact. I can't say he was healthy or that he wasn't. I can say he wasn't on the court. Yeah. And I can say he went to other doctors besides the Spurs, and the Spurs, if they cleared him, probably believed he was healthy. But if he didn't play, there's something in the works. Whether it was health or he just didn't want to play for the organization. You will see it this season. If he doesn't play this season, then you know it was not health. It was he just didn't want to play for them. And if that's the case, I will be right there with you. He had a contract to fulfill and he didn't fulfill it. But as of right now, he is fulfilling his contract. If all he was last year was hurt. Because he's not doing anything that breaks the contract. He's just saying, I don't want to play here. You can say, I don't want to play here. He doesn't have a no trade clause. Or it's not like they, well, that wouldn't even matter. But he can say he doesn't want to play there as long as he does play there. You can have any opinion you want. Jimmy Butler doesn't want to play for the Timberwolves. He's still going to play for them. Like, you can choose to not want to play for them as long as you still do your job. But if he gets traded because of it, great.
See, that's not, the issue is him saying, I will only play for the Lakers.
But you haven't seen it in action. Talk is talk, but until you see that walk,
what are you talking about?
He can say all he wants to play for the Lakers only.
Yeah, but that just shuts down every other team from making any trade.
Oh, so then he might lock himself into playing for the Spurs. And if he doesn't play for the Spurs, I'll be right there with you because he has a contract to fulfill. But if he does play for the Spurs, knowing after that he's leaving to the Lakers, okay. It's the same thing Paul George did. He said, I want to play for the Lakers. I only will play for the Lakers. Still ended up signing with the Thunder. Still ended up being traded to the Thunder. Players can say where they want to play all they want. As long as they do their job. He said he was only playing for the Lakers and still play for the Thunder, Paul George. As long as they do their job. Okay, he would like to play with the Lakers.
He said he would only want to play in LA.
So you will have to just wait and see. If he doesn't play for the Spurs, then you know. Then he should be banished from the league, honestly, because he's not fulfilling his contract. That's what I will say. But as of right now, he's fulfilling his contract, just stating he doesn't want to play there. But as long as he does it, I can't say he deserves any criticism, because it's his opinion to not want to not like the league, the franchise.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem with saying I don't like playing for the Spurs. I think the problem is locking it in a year early that you're only going to play for this team.
I don't think it's a problem at all, because then he can get traded early and establish a relationship, and then he gets access to more money, because then the Lakers have his bird years, and they can sign him more money.
Spurs. They lose their.
They should have treated him better then.
How did they treat him poorly? He got hurt.
Okay, he's supposed to be their franchise player, right? Yeah. And they won't even trust him enough to talk to him they have to talk to the media. Okay, but it's not like he's never said a word out of his mouth. Like they've been exposing him on everything. Like there's not been any trust. If I was him and I was hurt and I felt like all that I've given for this franchise, I've won you guys championships. I've brought in thousands of fans to the arena, and you guys still don't trust me, and you're out here telling people I'm hurt when I'm healthy when I feel like I'm hurt. I would not want to play for them either. Like if you're looking at it from Kawhi's perspective, and everything he is saying is true, I'm not saying it is, but if it is true, I understand why he doesn't want to play for the Spurs, and it is within reason to not want to.
The Spurs' perspective and everything they're saying is true. Imagine that. Your best player has a fucking thigh bruise and won't play.
That's the problem. Everybody looks at it from a franchise's perspective, and you don't ever look at it from a player's perspective. Just because these players get millions to play,
Tony Parker's perspective, this player, your teammate, you had the same injury and you were healthy way quicker, and now your teammate, the person you need to win the championship, won't come play.
That is one reason. That's probably another reason why the Spurs pissed him off. Tony Parker should have been reprimanded for that. Team business stays inside the team. You don't sit here and go bash your teammates into the media.
You can bash them.
Talking about my dude's time worse. Like, you don't do that to your franchise player, to the media. You don't do that, especially get no reprimands. No, the Spurs did not handle that situation well. And even if he was healthy, I think both sides could have held it.
I don't think it's on either person's fault. That's Kawhi's.
I think you're right. Both sides could have handled it better, but at the end of the day, because neither of them did, I'm looking at it from Kawhi's point of view. Because at the end of the day, he's a person, and organizations are ruthless. They make trades, they drop players. I love players that they've released. I love players that they've traded, and it's like, why do you do this? Just like we said, there's a bunch of dumb GMs in the league. Obviously, Buford's not a dumb GM, but players are subject to just dumb maneuvers and unfortunate maneuvers because they're playing for a dumb GM, and it's not their fault. They signed this contract, so all of a sudden they're bound to this one team. Like, that's just how life goes, man. Yeah. Can't blame them for being human.
It's just how life goes. That's how a lot of people have to handle it. They're just not in the spotlight like they are in the NBA. That they have a sucky job, but they have the job, and they signed up for the job.
At any point, they can quit.
Yeah, he can quit.
At any point, they can switch jobs. They can go to a different job while still working there, as long as they talk to their boss and approve them to go meet with other people, and then take that job before they quit, and then quit when they take the job. Same thing as getting traded to another team, except because
you're not asked for a trade. That's not the problem. I'm just saying the problem is locking them into the Lakers. That's the only problem. If you say I'd like to be traded, it'd be a feeding frenzy, and there would be a bidding war for it.
Okay, but it's not like players haven't said I'm only playing. Like Chris Webber did it. Like players have said that before in the past. They're only playing for certain franchises, and franchises take risks on them, and it sometimes works out. Sometimes it doesn't. Like he shouldn't have said definitively I'm only playing for the Lakers. They might have to enact some like wording clause in the next whatever fucking Master Basketball Player Association thing, but he should have said I'd like to play for them instead of versus I will only play for them. But I can't fault him for having free will and wanting to use it, especially with the way the NBA is now. Players have it, and if organizations didn't want players to have it, they should have never signed off on it.
They didn't necessarily sign off.
That's exactly what they did in the lockout.
Signing off on them being able to say I want to trade to this team.
No, they signed off on them. They signed off on them on all the things that they can now do in free agency, with all the different contract stipulations. That's what they signed off on. That led to this. Because if he didn't have a team option, it's different. Because he could just, or he had a player option, it's different. Because then you could trade him anywhere and he'd have to play there for 2 years.
Yeah.
But because he has that player option, teams know he probably will just decline it.
Yeah. He will.
Yeah, he will because he's not making he's making a lot, but not as much as he's worth. Yeah. So,
anyways, that's it.
Yeah. So
got into a lot, talked for a long time.
We got a little bit heated there. Had our
one
of our biggest debates actually.
Definitely the most heated.
Yeah, definitely the most heated. That's what we're here to do though. Bring you that heat.